Well, hello there, welcome to the Obi Foreign Lines. In today's video, we are discussing the Mighty Ducks Game Changers on Disney Plus. If you can, like and subscribe. I guess we'll discuss in a non-spoiler way for people that haven't seen the show yet. We'll start off with discussing what happens for people that haven't seen it. So in a non-spoiler way, what happens
So
in a good way.
To summarise it, so Game Changers is part of, as you said, the Mighty Ducks universe. So we've got the three Mighty Ducks movies, one released, I think, 1992, and then the rest, I think,
2 years.
Yeah, in the next couple of years they came out. This follows on, it's set in 2020 or 2021, somewhere around there, it's modern time, and it follows a new set of characters that are in the same area where the Mighty Ducks played, and the Mighty Ducks now have gone on to become an arrogant sporting franchise, the massive stadium and lots of fans and arrogant kids play there, and it follows the main character getting cut from the team because the team's only wants the best players and they don't think he's good enough, and his mum decides to, let's start our own team.
The no names.
Yeah, so she decides to start her own team. They call them the don't bothers.
Yeah, don't.
Because they got told, like, don't even bother if you basically the coach said, if you're not good at hockey already, don't even bother. So she's like, well, we're the don't even bothers. So she decides to make a team that's about fun opposed to winning, and it's for the outcast and the people that want to join. She goes looking for somewhere because they need to have a ice rink to play at, and she happens to stumble across an ice rink that's owned by Coach Bombay, who we know as Emilio Estevez in the three Mighty Ducks movies, and he plays a character in this. He plays himself, he plays Coach Bombay, but he is not interested in hockey and does not want to help out, and he's quite arrogant and doesn't care. The season follows them building their team, getting better, and then inevitably having a final match that means something without giving spoilers. The typical what you'd expect in a Disney movie where they build up to the big finale and something happens. Anything else? Anything I missed that you think you'd like to add?
I guess compared to the movies, this show kind of makes the characters more individuals and kind of makes them more their own selves, because I found just watching the movies, like, I couldn't tell the kids apart from one another. There was so many, but in the show they actually took the time to do it. That's probably a good praise that the show did, like, you know.
Yeah, they develop the characters a lot more. They obviously have more time than the movies, but
yeah,
it's somewhat more believable. The movies, they get really good really easily. They move on to being in the Olympic squad. There's just so many unbelievable things about it, where this is a bit more believable, still quite unrealistic, but more believable. And there's you can follow a character and really like it. The main character, he's likable, and you're on his side and you follow his journey a bit more than in the movies where Charlie Conway is meant to be the main character. He's not really any good at hockey, and he's
okay. Yeah.
And even when they go to the Olympics team, he doesn't even play much game time.
No,
but he's still the captain.
Coach.
Yeah, but he's still the captain, and it doesn't make sense. But then in the show, the main character, last name Munro, can't think of his first name. He's a good player. He's the best player in this team. He got rejected from one team, and his mum started his own. There's also emphasis on the mother in this show, where none of the Mighty Ducks movies focus on anyone outside of the kids, really.
Yeah.
And you see a few original characters from the movies come back into there. Not the big famous ones, but some of the B grade-ish kind of ones return. And yeah, what would your rating of the show be before we have a further discussion?
I guess it's about average to good. Like the show makes you kind of sympathize with the team and kind of makes you want to see them improve and kind of make you like their journey. It's hard not to compare it to Disney's plus other sporting show Big Shots, that I think does it a little bit better, because the problem I have with Mighty Ducks is that it doesn't have a consistent what the team wants to do. I know it's to have fun, but the morals and they change throughout the show what they want to do, and I know human beings do that, but I like how in Big Shots their goal is to get to Division 2 and they know they're not a good, they say they're not good players, and in Game Changers they're not good at the start and they become excellent really quickly.
And what would be the rating you'd give it?
Yeah, average to good. Highly recommend it to people that watch the original movies and for people that like the good underdog David vs. Goliath.
You're wrapping up now.
Yeah.
You're like 10, 15. So what would be your verdict, Luke, for the show, and then we'll get into the nitty-gritty discussion part?
I would say it's above average. Maybe not excellent because it is tailored towards kids.
And I think you probably like it more than me because you grew up with the movies when you were younger and I only just watched it, and I think because I'm older I kind of see the problems with it. Like the first movie I think is the best one, and then they kind of got, I don't want to say worse, but kind of got less realistic, but like by the third one it kind of got to a point. But the TV show definitely does a better job than the movies.
Yeah, I think the TV show was better. I think the TV show builds on, because there's the nostalgia of the movies, it makes it makes the show better. If the show was a standalone, I think it would still be good, but having the backing of the Mighty Ducks franchise improves it. It helps it a whole lot.
Out of the child characters, which one do you think the audience and the viewers and yourself gravitated towards?
The main boy would be the one that they want you to focus on. I reckon my favourite character, I quite like the boy that was moved from Canada, that wore the Canadian the Maple Leafs jersey. And you assumed he was really good because he had all the gear, but then he couldn't ice skate at all. I think he was my favourite character. I just think each character had their own little
quirks.
Yeah, a bit of development. I think the show did a nice job of showing that a cosplaying female character can become best friends with the one that's meant to be good looking and popular. The kid that was outcast from his team can start his own team and be the best player. The player that was the best player is doesn't love the pressure that their parents put on him, so she changes sides. I think it also mixes the fact that boys and girls can play in the same team. Like they make supposedly the best player is a female as well. They do just a good way of mixing a lot of different problems. They do, in typical, as the new way of things with Disney, they add that one of the characters has a same-sex mother.
Yeah.
Which, again, no problems with, but they're just slowly putting that stuff in, and it's just Disney's way of showing they're diverse. They just do a really good job of mixing a good group of characters. As I said, I think it's excellent. Above average, maybe excellent. So above average to excellent would be my final rating. Okay, moving into a bit more spoiler
territory.
Nitty gritty stuff. What What's your first question? What do you want to talk about?
Did you buy that, like the movies? Did you like the journey more with these characters, and did you buy that they got where they got? You know, they were good. Did you believe it more than to the movie?
You're saying, do I believe whether they could have got that good that quickly?
Yeah, that's the problem that I find with the show the most.
I don't fully buy it, but I don't think they made them unrealistically good.
No.
I've been thinking about this. Maybe ice hockey's a tough sport.
Yeah.
And if you have one player that's really good at a junior level, your team could be full of bad players, and that one player could be good enough to actually win you games because they're not elite players. Ice skating's tough. So if you have one person that's really good, it does make a bit of sense. So I kind of believe it. When they eventually go to the state titles, some of the teams they come up against, I think, seem way too good for them. They wouldn't
and been
win.
playing together like longer.
Yeah. I asked you about this. I don't buy their whole reason for pulling out of the final.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Yeah, so what, they pull out because one player's injured, their best player, and they supposedly can't play unless they have a full team. And she wants to still play injured, and then her teammates won't let her, so they all decide that they're not going to play, which seems really odd. It's an odd finish, only to set up for a you could say unrealistic or Disney-style finish, where they then come up against the same team, but not in the competition, outside of competition, without umpires, so then they can then play dirty, and it's just very set up. But I like the ending. What do you think? The end result of them deciding to play it outside of the legal tournament?
It was a pretty cool match. It still left me thinking it's okay that they were able to play that match with 9 players, but they couldn't at the final, when they just could have played with her injured and played with big moments. Like, to me, it was very much like, oh, we'll let you. But I know in big games, you play in big games. Like, you don't make the final every day.
Yeah, and I think even injured, couldn't she just sat on the bench and just not played? Like, the rules, they could not have said that you had to play and be on the ice. You could just be a bench player that doesn't get on, or put her on for 1 second and she can hop straight off.
For example, in the second movie, the female replacement goalie, she got sent on, and then in the movie she only did one thing, and that was to replace the original goalie to save from the best scorer, but she was on the bench the entire time.
The other thing that was funny about that, I don't know if you noticed, when that player is injured, she has a sprained knee, but then her knee is like purple.
Yeah.
Like, it's supposedly so bruised that it's purple, and that's not how a sprain works. It's so over the top. So they really play up the injury. But as the original question was, did you like the ending? And I think it's cool that they retained their name. Yeah. I like it how they came out at halftime with the original Mighty Ducks jersey. They reclaimed the name, and they are now going to be the Mighty Ducks again. And there's just good development. I think a lot of the characters came likable that were unlikable. Like the mothers of some of the Mighty Ducks team became likable. Even the coach of the Mighty Ducks seemed likable, but then he became a backstabber in the end again.
Yeah.
So my opinion of him changed back to the original, that I didn't like him. I think it was nice that Coach Bombay became involved, but it wasn't easy. He didn't just decide, I'm going to come on board, I'm going to change this team. I thought that was cool. And I think season 2 is going to be cool. What do you think season 2 might be about?
Maybe them. I don't know if they'll accept the name straight away, or they'll be like, oh, we like the name that they originally had, but I actually prefer the Mighty Duck name to what they had. I actually hated the name that they chose. I prefer the Mighty Ducks name.
Do you think maybe in season 2 they might return to states and maybe win this time?
Yeah, that would be kind of a maybe actually get some practice together and then maybe go against a different team. Like there's quite a lot of options that they got for them going into it. Like it's the same situation as a lot of other shows. Like they've written it in a good stage that you can see a lot of potential and it's kind of good. Like
You think they'll get a new rival team?
I hope so. I think rivalry is good.
Do you think from the Mighty Ducks movies, the Mighty Ducks, their rival team is the Hawks, who Coach Bombay played for as a kid, and they won all these titles except for the year when he missed the penalty shot, and that's when he quit ice hockey at the age of 12. They are also in the Game Changers, but the Hawks aren't that good. Do you think maybe the Hawks become good again and they become the rivals of the Mighty Ducks?
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah, something like that. What do you think about the ridiculous stadium that they supposedly have just for kids hockey? How massive it was. They had like this big world-class stadium.
Oh, for the final.
Well, no, just the Mighty Ducks in general. Their stadium was massive, and you look at the Don't Bothers and it's this crappy ice rink.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's realistic in America, whether it's kids' sporting teams have stadiums. I also don't understand why they wouldn't have A and B sides. When a player gets cut, he then had to go make his own team. Why they wouldn't have just had a second side, or do they have divisions? And why this under 13s team was so important? Like, do they not have an under 15s team? Do they not have a 17s team? Do they not have a seniors team? Like, why are they important? Do they just, you play, once you turn 14, you then have to go play professional? Like knowing how sport works in Australia, there's different age groups, and it seemed like there was just the one. But yeah, overall, I liked it. I think I liked it more than you did. I'm looking forward to season 2. It was one of the shows I'd been waiting for ages when Disney Plus announced it, and it didn't disappoint in my eyes.
So who was your favourite adult character in the show?
I really liked the main character's mother. I think she did a good job. She
wasn't too over the top, because there were some moments when she was at the start kind of judging how the team was drinking a lot of stuff, and then she became what she was judging. And
oh no, I think they set it up well. I think you would expect those changes to happen.
Yeah, once you get that winning.
Yeah, and she was in a pressured environment. She worked with the enemy.
Yeah,
her enemy was her boss, so she was under pressure. I think it makes sense, actually. Coach Bombay was good. Funny character in all the movies. He's like this great lawyer, but then he can't. But then he's an alcoholic and drink drives, and then he has to do community service, and then he becomes a great coach, but he hates kids. And then, did you notice in every movie he always has a love interest?
Yeah.
But then by the next movie he doesn't have the love interest anymore.
Yeah, I did notice.
Like the first one, he was dating Charlie's mum towards the end, but then in the second movie she wasn't around, and then he wanted to date the teacher that followed the team around. And did he have a love interest in the third movie?
Not really.
And then in this show, he's set up to have a love interest with the main character's mum, but then I bet you by season 2 they're not a thing. So I don't know. I don't love that they made him turn into a slob, considering he was supposedly a lawyer that had never lost. The only case he lost was his own. There to change that, and then now he just owns an ice rink and is a bit of a slob, is a disappointment for the character. But
and he seemed to be so knowledgeable in life. Like he gave advice, and then he had like a whole cake to himself, and he seemed to like, I don't know, they changed his character from watching the movies.
He went from someone that was up himself and wore fancy suits and needed a limousine to, in the show now, he just lives a simple life, drives a car that you can't even wind the windows down.
Yeah.
One episode I did like about it was when he tried to teach a life lesson to the main character's father and kind of kept him captive and made him come watch his son play. I thought that was a really, really nice touch to add to the season.
Yeah. Kind of, they're both kind of the same male, had their chicken wing contest, and then it'll be interesting to see what they do moving forward.
Yeah, the season touched on a lot of things. You've got, especially with the characters and the kids and their parents. You've got the same-sex couple. You got the single mother. You got the single dad. You've got the family that doesn't show up to anything. Like that's the goalkeepers. You've got the mother that's like well involved with her daughter. The one that's like the popular one, and they always talk about like, oh, we're from out of town. We're from the city. We're from the city, and they're always talking about New York. And yeah, it's just a good mix with the parents. You got the parents that are like telling their kids that they need to do extra courses. They need to be perfect at sports so they can get scholarships to college. And they've got like a sports psychologist and a nutritionist and all these things. So they do it. They really cover a whole lot of different stereotypes about parents, and then they have a lot of realistic issues that they cram into a show that's tailored towards kids. So I think if you really analyze it, the show's better than you think. You got to give the writers a lot of credit for what they've done.
And did you buy that practicing on the ice when they did the practicing would have got them better? It's kind of when they practice with the eggs in the movies. Yeah,
it's one of those fighting montage scenes that you see in a movie. Like you've got to do it.
It's like leveling up in video games.
Yeah, so it was alright. I don't understand the whole blindfold thing.
Yeah.
And that they win a game by it's like, oh, we'll put the blindfold on and they pass, and suddenly the other team don't want to take the puck off them because they're blindfolded. They literally pass it and someone blindfolded shoots, and you're like, just because you're blindfolded, the goalkeeper's not blindfolded, he can see it.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those silly things that they add to make an unrealistic goal. But I do think they made the hockey more realistic than the movies.
Is there any character that you didn't like as much or hope gets developed better in season 2?
No, I think they developed it well. They didn't focus too much on the villains or the kids that played in the Mighty Ducks team, which was good. I didn't want any of them to become likeable. I think every character in the Nobody's got an okay screen time, except for the 2 foreigners that moved from like the Czech Republic that don't speak English. But you can see why they didn't get much coverage. But I was expecting them to be really good, and that was going to be their reasoning for joining the team. But you don't see any of their footage playing hockey, so.
No.
But yeah, no, not really. Yourself?
Maybe like see a rival team and kind of developed like a rivalry and see what happens. Maybe some players from the Mighty Ducks like join forces, and then they like got to deal with like joining forces and like the enemy of Miami is my friend, things like that.
Yeah, that would be good. Okay, so we've given its rating, recapped it, we've discussed what we think season 3 might be about. Season 2, sorry. Is there anything else to add, or that's kind of it? I
guess hopefully it does get renewed for season 2.
Oh, I think it would.
Yeah.
I think it seemed popular. It didn't. It ended in a way where season 2 was a possibility, and I don't think it's a high budget. I don't think it's too expensive to make either. I think it's something we'll get a season 2 for sure. Yeah.
Well, thank you for helping, Luke. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let us know your thoughts about season 1 of the Mighty Ducks. Like and subscribe. Have a good rest of your day. Let the force be with you. Bye-bye.